Ethos of Silence.
A veteran podcast aims to amplify the voices of veterans, creating a safe space for authentic conversations about their experiences, challenges, and triumphs. We seek to break the stigma surrounding mental health and foster community support, resilience, and understanding. Through storytelling, expert insights, and candid discussions, we strive to inspire healing, promote awareness, and empower veterans on their journeys.
Welcome. Alrighty. All right, so we are Wednesday night, November 13th. The 13th. Cool. All right, so Wednesday night, November 13th. I'm back here. Kevin's with me. He decided he wanted to dress up a little bit.
Little snazzy today.
All right.
Those of you who don't know me, Kevin Gomez, U.S. Army, 10 years, Fort Lewis, Fort Sam Houston, a few places around the globe.
Yeah, nobody cares about the rest of that.
Well,
just U.S. Army 10 years is good enough.
That is the important part.
There we go.
Wait. June 14th, too. That's important. Go ahead.
Okay, sure. All these dates and stuff. You're the only Army cat here. The rest of us are jarheads, man. All right.
Hey, I'm Army.
Oh, yeah.
Well, you're more of a hybrid.
All right, we'll keep y'all on that side of the room.
But, the
hybrid predator. He's a hybrid predator.
Here's what I can tell you. Everybody in the Marine Corps can sing the Marine Corps hymn.
Hell yeah.
Not many in the Army can sing all the Army songs.
You got me on that one. I just had the birthday down real well.
And then we got Derrick back here.
Yep. Name's Derrick Dupre. 6 years United States Marine Corps, all over the world.
Yeah. The reservist who did 4 years active, huh?
Yep.
The green shirt he has on, that's his favorite color crayon, in case anybody's interested.
Actually, no, it's red because it tastes like strawberry.
Red strawberries, in case anybody wants to send any presents in.
Oh, I'll always take a box of crayons. They're delicious. And
Yes, they are.
The new guy we got on the couch here, who's set us up with this amazing place to hang out and film. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Robert.
Well, I was 6 years Army, and then I went in the Marine Corps.
How did that
7
work?
years.
Hold on.
Yeah.
So you go to the Army, and then you're like, yeah, let me go ahead and try the Marines? That seems crazy.
Well, originally I was wanting to do the Marines, but it just didn't work out at the time. So I joined the Army. And then I was at Fort Eustis, Virginia, and I wanted to go back to the 101st at Fort Campbell. And they said, no, sorry, we can't give you that in the contract. And I said, well, I'm walking out. I'm not doing it. And they said, no, you're not. You just bought a new car. So I walked out, walked down the street to the Marine Corps recruiter. So that's how it happened.
Wow.
Yes, indeed.
That's impressive.
And then we came back from Desert Storm, the Marines. I wanted to be an officer, and we were doing the cutback, the 50. I was a year or two old, I think they said. They wouldn't waive it. So the Army said, come back and we'll send you to OCS, and that's what I did.
Wow. That's impressive. And then you were telling me something, I'm pretty sure you didn't actually go through recruit training in the Marine Corps, right? So you're a Marine, but you've never went through recruit training and was given your Eagle Globe and Anchor or earned your Eagle Globe and Anchor that way, right?
That is true. They, at the time, they needed experts with a machine gun, and I had won the national championship with the M60 machine gun.
Oh, wow.
So the Marine Corps accepted me. I got to keep my time and grade and my rank.
Well, that's awesome. Tell me about this machine gun competition. I don't think I've ever heard about it.
I'm hearing this for the first time. This is awesome.
This sounds interesting to me.
Well,
I mean, it's badass enough for the Marine Corps to say, you know what, you don't have to go to training to be a Marine. We'll just accept you into this MOS because you know how to handle these machine guns.
This is every kid's dream. You're the machine gun champion.
Right?
You know,
it's like I won the Nerf war. Bragging rights.
The sad thing is I begged them to go to base boot camp.
Oh, yeah.
Of course.
And
you want to earn the title.
And I still got the letter somewhere around here that states Headquarters Marine Corps boot, and it says boot camp unauthorized on it.
Oh, dang.
So,
Wow.
Well, that's a shame. It should have said recruit training, but okay.
But there was a machine gun competition.
Yeah.
And it's just like any of the other ones, rifle competition and stuff. But I could run. I could break 2 miles in about 11 minutes.
That's quick.
And
that's real quick.
So that was one of the things in the competition was you had your combat gear on, you had to carry the M60, and you had a team. You couldn't start shooting until the whole team, but you could run individual as long as you could come back and fire the team.
Yeah.
And I just took off and I outran everybody with the M60 and the combat gear. I got back and I was able to set in. And then I took most of the heavy gear, so the rest of the team was not too far behind me. So it set in, and you shot at 400, I think, meters, then 600, then 800, and I was able to hit the target pretty good. So I ended up winning, and it was pretty exciting at first, you know.
That sounds like the most Marine thing to me. Like, I'm the fastest, so give me the heavy gear, and the rest of you take the light gear, and we're about to smoke check everybody at this event.
And that's
That sounds like the Marine idea. Like, we came up with this idea while we were getting drunk prior to the event.
Yep.
So where do you?
You're probably right on that, but that's exactly what happened. I took the heavy gear. And
Where does one hold the National Machine Gun Contest at?
We actually at that time, because I guess it moved around. We shot at, this was 85. I think it was Fort Meade, if I remember right.
Where's that out? Out in the middle of the desert somewhere? Beautiful weather all the time?
Right there in Maryland.
Okay.
Yeah, right there in the middle. And it was an intelligence school and stuff there at the time.
What time of year were y'all running that competition? Was it hot outside? Was it cooler weather? What we got going on? Don't even know. I'm asking you to think back down a rabbit hole, huh?
I can't remember. Actually, I got the gold medal over there.
That's awesome.
So,
That I'd like to get my eyes on. That's neat.
But it was pretty neat to do. And then I was coming up for re-enlistment, my second term, and they pretty much said, "No, you're going to stay here." And I said, "No, I don't think so."
Yes, indeed.
So that's what happened.
So it went off without a hitch.
And then
Nobody got shot. Nobody got hurt. No stories like that.
the
Okay.
40, and then almost a month shy of 42 years, I retired. So
Yes.
So we call the podcast Ethos of Silence, right? So how can you compare the difference? Because you're probably the most qualified person I would know to compare the difference between the ethos of an Army and then the ethos of the Marine Corps, as far as like the mindset. As it's about the same, just Marines love crayons, so they're stuck on their point of views, or
I think the biggest difference, because when I went to NCO school at Parris Island, is that the Marines are taught history.
Okay.
Pretty strict.
Yeah.
And I remember the first aviator Cunningham. from
A.A. Cunningham.
Commandant. I still remember all that stuff, and that was 30 years ago. So that's something you put into. But what I didn't see in the Army, last year with us, my first unit I was with in the Army, and that was unique in itself too, because we met up at Jackson. We trained as two companies at Jackson Basic Training. Then they came down from Fort Campbell with the NCOs and officers. They stripped all the soldiers from the units, and they came down and they trained us at AIT. We went to air assault school, and then we became Alpha Company, first the 506, the Curhees. So we did that. So we stayed together. They were trying the regimental concept again.
Okay.
So we stayed together about 2.5, 3 years, and then things changed, and we broke up and went all over the globe, I guess. But when we went to the 101st from Fort Jackson, like our second or third weekend, they took us to the museum. We knew everything about the 101st, where it's created, how it was created, the units, their history.
Because that's what builds the ethos,
Exactly, and that's what they did. And then I went to my next unit, and they really didn't tell us anything about the history or anything. But like In the Marine Corps, though,
you got to know where you come from to know where you're going. You learn about these legends, and you are just baptized in the fact that I am going to be this next Marine Corps legend, because every time I look down, I see that U.S. Marines. I got to live up to that legend that's in my head.
That's right.
And just like every great story, whenever somebody else retells it, they added some extra legendary stuff to it.
And I think that is a big difference between the strength of the Army versus the Marine Corps. Is you know where you come from and you know where you want to go.
Yes.
And the Army has got elite units that do that, but a lot don't.
Okay.
But in the Marine Corps, it doesn't matter who you are. You're a rifleman and you know everything about the Marine Corps.
Yeah.
You're a Marine.
Yeah, and you're always a Marine.
No matter what, where you go.
We was talking about the Marine Corps League, how dedicated. Out of all the volunteer organizations I've ever been into, they are the most active veteran volunteer unit organization I've ever been a member of.
It's a bunch of jarheads. How could it not be?
So, and they're always trying to figure something else they can go volunteer
What else can we put on our schedule? Because we don't have anything going on Tuesday morning.
Exactly.
Who's up for 4 a.m.?
Yeah, so, it's pretty awesome. And it's pretty awesome to have that different perspective. I was fortunate enough to have that opportunity.
See, I'm really surprised. I expected when I got out of the military that there'd just magically be a Marine fraternity sitting somewhere, to where we all just hung out, drunk, and go on runs around college campuses. We just go to a different college campus every week and wake everybody the hell up at like 4 a.m, chanting and running drunk as hell. Like, wouldn't that be an amazing thing to just go and do?
Never ran through a college campus, but I did take a 7-ton down the road where all the sorority houses were.
Okay. Yep. Sounds like a little too much fun. All right, so
no, we didn't stop. We just rolled through.
You definitely didn't have everybody at formation in the morning. You don't even have to lie. All right, Robert. So let's see. You did the Army. You did the Marines. You went back to the Army. You said you were in Desert Storm. How'd that go?
It was pretty. It was, paired to the deployments to Iraq a few times, it really wasn't much. It got boring, but the American people was pretty motivating. But back then, you didn't have to send it to a certain service member.
Okay.
We got pallets of boxes, and we would go down there with our 5-ton. We'd load them up. The only thing they asked was, hey, write the people back letters.
Yeah.
Which we did as a platoon sergeant. I made sure they got it.
That's awesome.
We sent them back letters. But that was pretty awesome. And seeing actually your platoon working and doing what they're supposed to do and staying motivated the whole time was pretty cool. I think the only problem we kept getting different return dates to get back to the States.
Yeah,
that kind of destroyed morale.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You see light at the end of the tunnel. They keep kicking the light at the end of the tunnel further down. Yeah, that definitely does it. Definitely does it.
So, where'd you pull out of for Desert Storm? Where'd y'all pull
Lejeune.
from? Camp Lejeune.
It was at Lejeune. And we flew over. And the funny thing is, the thing that I remember the most about all that is on the way back, when we got on the plane, and it was kind of neat because, Marine Corps and staff NCOs and up, how they're treated. We got foot in first class. And but the thing I remember the most was a U.S. Coca-Cola and a glass of ice.
Yes.
That stood out, and that's probably my biggest memory of the whole thing.
That was a commercial flight, or was that the C-130s?
No, commercial.
Nice, yeah. They were still doing that.
So that was, as stood out. And then, again, when we flew, I think it was Rome we flew into, seeing the green grasses we flew in. That was huge, too.
Yeah.
Rome.
And then... we had a master guns with us, which served in Vietnam too.
Okay.
And I remember him, because, there's a big difference of how they got treated coming back from Nam.
Oh, yeah,
or how
definitely.
we got treated. I remember seeing him with tears in his eyes, everything going on when he was getting off the plane and stuff, that, you could tell it had a major impact on him. Because he went through hell the first time and then it being appreciated the second,
I can only imagine that. Must have been a flood of emotions from. Hopefully, we owe it to all of them. Hopefully, that was a moment for him that got some kind of resolution to that soldier, that warrior.
All right, so you did Desert Storm in the Marine Corps. What kind of training did you do in the Army? Well, once you became an officer, you went to. How'd that work? Did you get to go MESEP and go to college for a while and get paid to be in college?
No.
What kind of path did you take?
I got out and went in the reserves for a while. The reserves guard.
Okay.
And the Marine Corps too is in the reserves. But I went to school during that time, and I actually was going to stay out because I became a firefighter.
Cool.
And I was going to stay out and just stay in the reserves.
Where are you at in the country right now?
Indiana.
Indiana. Firefighters are like it's a legitimate career up there.
Yeah, I was a city of Evansville firefighter.
Okay.
So EMT firefighter. But I was sitting there thinking, I'm going to stay this, kind of enjoying it, kind of a little break.
Slow down the fast pace of being in charge of a bunch of people in the military, and I mean it's rewarding, but slow down the pace a little bit.
And then the fire department's still paramilitary, so it's sort of thing. And so I stayed there, and then they kept calling me back to do stuff for the military. And then 9/11 happened, and I pretty much stayed on active duty the rest of my career.
Okay. So where were you when the Twin Towers were hit?
Actually, I was standing in the reserve center. I just took company command. And I was standing in the reserve center. And I don't know, for some reason I was watching TV, which was rare, and watched it happen.
Wow.
The second plane.
Yeah.
The first already happened, but the second plane seen it happen. And the next thing you know, they pretty much activated us at that point. And I stayed on active duty. I'd come home for a couple months, work at the fire department, and then they say, hey, we need you here, and I was gone again. And then in, 2008.
So was that a Marine Corps Reserve unit you were attached to, or an Army Reserves? Okay.
So in 2008, they asked me to come back on active duty. So then I was on active duty the rest of the time. So I actually had a little about 30 years active duty and 12 years in the reserves.
Wow.
So when you in the fire department, you got other training though. You started getting like CPR training.
Well, I was an EMT, so you got that. You learn life-saving skills, all that. Basically, I couldn't push meds or anything. I can open the airways. I mean, there's a lot of legal things of what you can't do by
which is kind of crazy, but okay.
You have.
But you're riding to emergency scenes, and you're on a paramedic truck.
Yeah. Well, I was on a Quint, which is a pumper and a ladder truck.
So you go into accident scenes and
we did all
train
that.
for that.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I kind of had like several different types of trauma. You had the trauma of working emergency scenes. And you had the trauma of seeing what you seen in combat.
Yeah, that's two different things.
So I spoke earlier whenever we were in our Broken little series about my brother who's a mind wizard. He's got a bunch of degrees. He lives in academia teaching and doing different stuff like that. He actually does a lot of research on firefighters and does a lot of papers on firefighters and stuff. What kind of trauma did you actually see and deal with while you were a firefighter? How long were you a firefighter and doing the paramedical stuff? You ever fought any actual fires? You ever dealt with any crazy scenarios? Tell us some stories. Tell us some training. What you got?
Well, I think, obviously you're trained. You go through like 35 days, I think, of training at the time. You're taught how to fight fires and how to observe it, because that's, that's critical to knowing what type of situation you're getting.
Yeah, you got to see what's going on so you know how to fix it.
Attention to detail, observation of what's happening is critical. And then, you go through all that training, and then you got 1 year probation, you go out. And a matter of fact, the first big fire I went to, it was the first time ever driving a pumper truck, an engine.
Oh, okay.
And it was a 3 or 4 alarm fire, and we were right down the road, so it was like the first company in, and you're sitting there trying, okay, I got to run this truck, I got to get the water out, I got to do this and everything. And actually we had a backdraft. That's when the air, sucks out and it kind of explodes. And my captain.
That's a dangerous situation when that happens.
My captain, I think one of the rescue captains, and a couple other ones all got burnt pretty good. So I'm sitting out there on the truck, doing the truck, and I remember the back of the building kind of raising. And my leadership was, which I didn't know at the time, was they got them out and they were on their way to the hospital. So, you just got to be able, it's just like the military. It's like combat drills.
Yeah, you got to compartmentalize and keep moving.
And a good thing is I've had a bunch of people there helping too. So.
You're controlling the uncontrollable, almost.
I don't know if you consider it controlling, but you're at least trying to do your part to do it.
That's awesome.
But they had excellent people. I had excellent people to train me through my career. And the one thing I did in the fire department that I didn't do in the military, in the fire department, I didn't want any rank or anything.
Okay.
I didn't want to deal with that.
Yeah.
I had it in the military.
Yeah.
And
I want to be responsible for me. I'll be the best me I can be, but I'm not going to be responsible for anybody else.
I was on the hazmat team. I did everything. All the macho type stuff. But I just
I want to learn how to save lives.
So
about nothing else.
all your years of experience. I was talking with a buddy, and basically you're the old wise man of the group because you're the one that's older than all of us. So you're the old wise man. All your years of experience, right? And why do you think that coming out of the military, you actually wanted to throttle back and not have that role of responsibility and not have all these things? Why do you think from the mental health side of things that you wanted to step away from that responsibility?
Well, I think you need a break. And you didn't, and even though that responsibility would have been different, I went and took tests for promotion, but I never studied for them. I just went to take them, see what they like.
See where I'm ranking without even picking up the book.
So
that's honest. Brutally honest.
Well, and I didn't pass the test, but I was pretty close to passing them. But that's just the way I looked at it. And I just didn't want that, because I think the other thing that I knew too, the military called me away a lot.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So I wasn't there, and it wasn't, in my mind, it wasn't right to be an officer in an engine company or whatever, and be pulled out and you're leaving there a void. I was leaving a void already.
Yeah.
With manpower and stuff. And I just didn't think, and it wasn't right.
Yeah, no, that's extremely legitimate and understandable.
So you got complete training for team functions in the military, and then you've got team trainings for the fire department.
Yeah.
How's that like, and the differences of it? Do you see some similarities, or do you really trying to get in where you fit in and just save lives and do what you can?
I think it's your bonding with the crew that you're with, the company. A company's one truck. So you usually have 5 people in a company.
Okay.
You might only have 4 working though, because they might be, especially if you're a junior firefighter, you're at a house that somebody else is not there that day, or vacations. So usually run with, we ran 4 on a truck.
Yeah, because I didn't know that.
And
I don't know much about firefighters.
That makes sense though.
So I had excellent crews I worked with. I loved everybody I was around. Yeah. We had a heated discussion like you do in the military.
Yeah, that's good. That definitely builds the esprit de corps that you need to be successful.
Yeah,
those are good to have.
And then, there's all about training. taking care. You took care of each other just like that, because you're on a hose going in a burning building. You want to make sure, one, the people with you want to make sure you're trained.
Yeah.
And two, you want to make sure that, hey, they're there with you. So
while we're talking about personnel, let's jump. Did you go to Iraq, Afghanistan, any of those type of deployments?
I went to Iraq.
Okay.
Yeah.
So without getting any details of Iraq, right? So you came back from Desert Storm, you did the firefighter stuff, and you've been to Iraq, right? So you've been through multiple trauma scenarios and the resources that have been provided every time. What's the difference between Desert Storm that the military gave you and then what they actually gave you on the backside of Iraq? When did you go to Iraq?
I was there 2003.
03.
And then 5 and 6.
Okay, 03, 05, and 06. Okay. So basically the initial invasion, and then 5 and 6 is right before the research.
Right.
Okay.
We were right at the beginning of it. So, yeah. So
but I mean, from a mental health side of things, right? So Echoes of Silence, the silence is the mental health side of things. So the personnel, right? You built the esprit de corps. You built up all the people in your unit being highly trained, highly ready to go to combat, highly ready for this, highly ready to go fight the fires, knowing what they've got to do whenever the scenario happens to do it, right? Mental health side of things. How do they help people coming back from Desert Storm? How do they help people coming back from being firefighters? How do they help people coming back from Iraq? What are some of the similarities, some of the differences?
Well, Desert Storm, we came back. I got actually injured, or it was a non-combat injury.
Okay.
So it took a while for me to heal up and stuff, but what I do remember was the VA wasn't friendly at the time. So that was a big
I don't
thing.
think I could ever imagine the VA any more friendly than they are now. So yeah.
So they weren't friendly at the time. And if you had a claim or stuff, it was very difficult. Matter of fact, like, you know, I had a couple things I went to, and I said the wrong word in my VA
exam.
Exam. Yeah. And they said, well, that's not that.
Yeah.
This is not what happens. And I'm like, okay. But later on, especially when I got to retirement, they said, I don't know what the hell they were talking about. So then I got, compensated for it.
All right. So we know the VA has gotten better in the last 40 years.
A lot better. And then that was, I think, a big thing.
Okay.
That when we came back is, oh, you're good, go back to the unit, they'll take care of you, things like that, right? And then the fire department, matter of fact, I got recalled back to active duty right after this incident happened. That kind of, because you try to put everything in, you compartmentalize
it. You put it in Pandora's box.
I had the military, the fire department, and family.
Yep.
I had it all. And we had this incident on a highway. It started rain as a quick rain. These kids from high school was out from lunch. There was 3 of them. They hit, there was a slope in the road. They hit it. Hydroplane went over, crossed the medium, went over and hit like a 1973 pickup truck, made of steel.
Yeah.
Solid truck.
Yeah, big square body.
And it just crushed that car. And I got up, when we got on scene, we were the first, it was the engine company on scene. We got up on scene, and I was trying to reach in the car. I couldn't tell who they were.
Yeah.
That well, but I was trying to reach in the car and see if they were still alive.
Yeah.
And
checking pulse and stuff.
Yeah, that I actually took, my stethoscope, and I was in there trying to see if they were alive, because it was crushed pretty good. And one of the kids had a T-shirt on, like I gave my daughter for Christmas.
Oh man!
And I couldn't see the face and stuff, and the hair was kind of alike and stuff. And that freaked me out.
Yeah.
And I still knew I had to do my job.
Of course.
But my lieutenant on the scene
could tell you were
could
frazzled.
tell that something was wrong and said, won't you go there and work on those people? And I still didn't know that was not my daughter until after the incident, and we went over to pull the IDs out of the human remain pouches.
Wow.
So it was about 30 minutes there that was going through my head, and that kind of broke my compartmental, like everything started running together. So that was a big mental thing, because I was so disciplined and understanding of how to separate everything until that point. And then about 2 weeks later, they called me and said, hey, we have this assignment, you want it? I said, I'm out of here.
I'm done.
And I stayed on active duty ever since.
Wow.
No, that'll melt you down.
So that was big. I mean, and then ever since then, I've not been able to separate the different types of stuff that I've been through.
With 40 years of being attached to understanding what's going on with the military, what do you see has happened with the suicide rate and everything else? Do you think it has always been kind of the way it is? Has it been escalating? Is it just being brought to people's attention, the mental health side of things, or what do you think?
I think
that's a personal opinion. There's no right or wrong answer.
So do look at it this way. So when you came back from 03, where did you go back to? What fort did you go back to?
Where did we go back to?
You were Army?
Fort Knox.
You were Army or Marines at this time?
Army.
So you went back to Fort Knox.
We went to Fort Knox.
Did you have a transition battalion? Did you have folks that come up and tell you how to be around your family, to how to de-escalate?
Not then, no.
No.
06, yes. But 03, no.
So absolutely nothing. Come from the combat zone to straight to nothing.
Yeah, you didn't have, they didn't have that.
No,
they weren't set up with it. I think the big difference of you got to look at.
Hopefully we've learned our lessons, and the things we've learned, we can apply them moving forward.
Well, here's what happened, in my opinion, based on what I was exposed to and stuff.
Yeah.
Desert Storm, we went over there, right? Desert Storm, we took the reserves, and the reason we took the reserve, because Vietnam, we didn't have the people's support. Well, the Abrams doctrine of the 70s is we're going to put the reserves and guard in this stuff. That way we have community support.
Exactly.
So that's what happened. Okay. So, but we were only over there. I mean, the 82nd got there in August. They probably left about April time frame. And then the other units, I got there in December. I left in the April time frame. So the mentality was, in my opinion, was that, hey, Iraq's going to be fast. So let's do the same process with all our units. We didn't have in our head all these rotations we might be doing.
That makes sense.
So we think we're going over there, we're going to be there a short period of time, and all these units can recover. So they weren't set up.
Then that also explains why they call it a surge, is because they're just throwing everything at the wall, trying to get it all toppled down, because it's happened that way before.
Exactly. And that's what their mentality was. And that didn't happen.
Yeah.
So they weren't set up, because they had that's the reason, dwell time, and which is, the dwell time is between the time you last deployed to the time you getting ready to deploy again, was short on some units because they didn't have no other units to fill that type of specialty.
Yeah.
So that's the reason you've seen the Guard and Reserve get worked. And the active duty as well.
Yeah. 12, 13-month deployments.
So that happened. But, 60% of logistics is the reserves anyway.
Yeah.
And so they kept doing that. So that's the reason. So they weren't set up for us to come back and give us all that specialty stuff. But I think right before they did the surge, they started realizing, hey, we got to start doing this to the people coming back.
Yeah.
And,
start seeing the effects of it.
Yeah.
Reports coming in. So 03, you were there for 5 months? My math is wrong.
No, I don't think I was there 5 months, because I was actually in Turkey. We were trying to get the fourth ID over. And that's another story on itself.
Yeah.
But then we decided to then we decided to send them south and come in.
Okay.
So just say that. Well, I was there from I think end of January until we went in, and I think end of May.
We went
January
in
to May. So we went in beginning of May.
March.
Was it March?
End of March we went in.
March. Oh, end of March. So I was there a couple months after that.
About 4 months.
Yeah. So.
And then you didn't have a lot of downtime coming back, and you were back over again.
Well, I was in Kaiserslautern, so I came back from there to Germany. So I was stationed at the 23rd or the 21st TSC.
You're ready to make whatever other rotations they need to have happen or fill.
And then with the modern technology, that's another thing. Desert Star and modern technology, you can pretty much run the logistics base in Germany because DLA, Defense Logistics Agency, did all the contracts and stuff there to move the stuff down.
That's awesome.
Did you ever at any time in your career get with any of the reserve units that made those 12 and those 13-month deployments, and what kind of effects it had on them?
I had some, there was, I met all types of people. It was not just the reserves, but the active duty. I think active duty had quite a bit of effect because they, according to what type of units, you know. But the reserves did too. I didn't see no difference really in issues from reserve, guard, or active duty.
I guess it's just the amount of time you spent there, because the amount of time is what it takes to break somebody down individually.
It can be broke down within hours.
That's very true. That's very true.
But once again, it comes back to that ethos, comes back to the camaraderie that you built with the unit, with the guys you're with. It makes the difference in the world between, us enjoying the fact of being in the suck together and then us being in the suck without enjoying it is who you're there with. And you go on one deployment, you go on another one, and you miss your road dog, you miss your sidekick from the last one that
Oh yeah, you can't do it without him.
He's what centered everything.
But and I mean that's key, and that's one thing I think about units that are close is that when you come back, being able to decompress together.
Yes.
And I think that's the downside of the reserve and the guard. Because then they go back home, they break back up, and they don't see each other for another month or so.
Until they do a drill weekend or this, that, the other, and then they're like, well, we'll give them more time, so we won't do a drill this weekend. Yeah. So now you go 2 months without seeing anybody. Yeah,
I think
that could be a little difficult.
Yeah, I think they really had some challenges, or could have had some challenges because of that.
Yeah,
but I, enjoyed. Being around the people, and you could talk about like we're doing now.
Yeah,
and stuff.
Yep.
No, I mean that's exactly why. I'm gonna go ahead and stop this episode here, and then I'm gonna get into my personal reason on why I wanted to actually start this podcast, because it's something really near and dear to me, something really near and dear and personal. So I don't think I've told Kevin this stuff yet.
Can't wait. We now have a moment of silent prayer for those still in the battle, for our departed comrades, for those missing in action, and for those held as prisoners of war.